Welcome back to another shir in Pituchei from Rabbi Yakob Abuchazira. This week is Parshas Vayaylech, and I'll tell you, learning through the Sefer this week was very difficult. It feels like as we're getting towards the end of the Chumash, Rabbi Yaakov is just full of soid, and it was really difficult to find a piece that I felt comfortable enough with to talk about. At the end of Parshas Vayaylech, I found something. I can't say we're going to do the whole piece, but we're going to get started with it. So with that introduction, let's get started. Torah tells us, Vayitzav Moshe es haLeviyim noisei aroin bris Hashem leimar. So Moshe commands the Leviyim, those who carry the Aron, which has the covenant of Hashem, saying as follows: L'koyach sefer HaTorah hazeh, take this sefer Torah, v'samtem Moshe mitzad Aron bris Hashem, and put it next to the Aron, Hashem lekechem, v'hayasham becha le'ed, and let it remain there as a witness for you, against you, that the Torah is there as a witness. Okay. Let's put this pasuk aside, and we're going to discuss a concept which Rabbi Yaakov begins his piece with the following language. Okay, and this is really what really shook me, or really, I guess, inspired me, or just hit me that this is something that we need to discuss. He says, "Iker kol megamaseinu b'Torah u'b'mitzvos u'b'tfilas." Our magamas are like our goal, what we're heading towards, what we're looking to get out of life. Kol megamaseinu. Our ikr, the ikr goal that we're looking to get in Torah and mitzvahs and davening. The big statement here. Hu kedei la'asais yichud. It's in order to unify kotzebrechu u'shechinte. Being that Rabbi Yaakov says that this is the ikr, what we have to focus on. Kol megamaseinu. We got to really focus on this when we're learning, when we're davening, when we're doing mitzvahs, is to do yichud, unify kotzebrechu Hashem u'shechinte. This is the ikr. I felt that we have to discuss this. So let's do it. Okay, here's a lashon which you may be familiar with. You may have seen it in some sidurim. You may say it before you light the candles on Hanukkah, or maybe before you say Kiddush on Friday night, or by the Seder. Let's read the lashon, and we're going to try to explain it on some level, what it's talking about. So the Mekubalim formulated the following nusach, the following idea: L'shem yichud kotzebrechu u'shechinte. For the sake of unification of kotzebrechu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, u'shechinte, and His Shechina, b'dechilu, with fear, u'rechimu, and love, liyachei, to join together the shem yod-hei with vav-hei, b'yechud shlim, in a complete unification, b'shem kol Yisrael, for the sake of all the Jewish people. Okay, so let's take this phrase by phrase and try to understand it on our level. Okay, so let's start with the first phrase, L'shem yichud kotzebrechu u'shechinte. So what does L'shem yichud mean? The simple understanding of that is L'shem yichud, it's for the purpose, L'shem, for the purpose of yichud, of unifying. L'shem yichud, for the purpose of unification. Now what is this idea of unifying? To unify things. So if we think to the mitzvah of Shema Yisrael, probably like the Pledge of Allegiance of the Jewish people, is Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Listen, Jewish people, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hashem is one. What does that mean, Hashem is one? Ultimately, what that means is that everything that's going on in the world, good or bad, ultimately, it's all echad. It all comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the mitzvah of yichud, of achdus Hashem, that there aren't separate forces in the world. It's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the ultimate purpose of creation is the state, is when we're going to get to the point where it's Hashem Echad, where everybody will recognize Hashem Echad. So L'Shem Yichud is for the purpose of unification, for us to reach the climax of creation, which is Hashem Echad. One idea. A second idea in L'Shem Yichud is L'Shem Yichud, for the unification of Shem, of Hashem's name. For the unifying of the Shem. Which Shem? For the Shem of Yud, K, Vav, K. Yud, He, and Vav, He. The Shem Havaya, as it's known as. What does that mean, the unification of Hashem's name? Okay, so let's discuss the Shem Havaya a little bit. Shem Havaya is made up of 4 letters, Yud and He, a Vav and a He. Each letter represents something, and we're not going to go into everything they represent, I don't know everything it represents, but I can tell you some of the things that it represents. One idea Rabbi Yakob discusses the Shem Havaya, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud being an idea, a desire. Hey is the ability, is like the 5. Hey is like the rutzin of somebody. Let's say HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hey would be like a hand that has 5 fingers. Vav is a connection, is putting out your hand, and the other Hey is the receiver, receiving. So there's one hand giving, and there's one Hey receiving. So Kav Yachal means Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei symbolizes Yud Kei Ka Hashem. Vav is connecting, is reaching out, and Hey, us receiving from Hashem. So if Hashem's name is unified, so then that's awesome. So then there's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Ratzon to give, comes to fruition, and He gives us, and we get. That's Yud Kei Vav Kei. But if for some reason there's something, there's not a unification, which would mean that the Hey, which symbolizes us, is not connected to the Yud Hey Vav, so that means we're not going to be receiving from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if you think of this world, the world that we live in, it looks, that which is symbolized by the last Hey of Hashem's name, is the world we're in. That's us. It's devoid of godliness. Where can you find God? So our job in doing Torah, mitzvahs, and davening is to be miyached, is to join together, is to find Hashem in this world, and therefore enabling HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be seen in this world, and therefore to be able to give to this world. One idea. On a deeper level, Yud refers to a svira, it refers to an element of HaKadosh Baruch Hu known as Chachma. Okay? That's like Hashem's wisdom, so to speak. Something that's in the machshava, in thought. It's also known as Yira Ilah. We'll see what this is important momentarily. Okay, that's the Yud. The Hey is known as Bina. Bina is the ability to take an idea and to flush it out. That's Bina. It's also known as Ava. The Vav is called in Kabbalah the Zeir Anpin, which represents the Midas of Hashem, of Chesed and Gevura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod Yesod, 6 spheres. It's also Vav is a hook. That's the connector, which, like we mentioned before, connects, like the Shem Yud Hey, that connects the HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kav Yachal to our world. It's also, the Vav also represents Kudsha B'ruchu. That name of Hashem, Kudsha B'ruchu, is the Vav. And finally, the final Hey refers to the Midah of Malchus, also referring to Shechina, and that's how that's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is revealed in our world down here. That's the Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey. The purpose is L'Shem Yichud, is to bring back a unification of Hashem's name. The phrase continues, B'dechilu u'rechimu. We do that with fear and with love. B'dechilu is fear. Now this fear refers to the Yud of Hashem's name, which is the Yira Ilah. So we want to be miyached Kudsha B'ruchu. We want to be miyached Kudsha B'ruchu u'shchinte with dechilu, which is the yud, urachimu, and love, which is the hey. So we want to be miyached, which the verse continues, liyached, and then when we're able to take kutshabrichu, ushechinte, which is the vav and the hey, and we're able to be miyached that shame with the yud and the hey, then we have biyachud shlim. We have a complete unification. Because then we have the entire shame of Yud Kei Vav Kei. And we want that to be b'shem Kol Yisrael. We add Kol Yisrael, the Naimeli Melech says, because, maybe me as a guy, I'm not that great. But Klal Yisrael as a existence of itself is perfect. And therefore, I'm doing this mitzvah, I'm saying this tefillah, I'm learning this Torah, l'shem yichu kutsha brechu shechinte, and even if I'm not worthy of doing such a thing, but I'm doing this b'shem Kol Yisrael. Now, when we take kutsha brechu ushchinte, and we're miyached those two ideas, kutsha brechu and shchinte, we get something awesome. So kutsha brechu, besides being the Vav in Hashem's name, also symbolizes the Shem Havaya on itself. Okay? Now the Shem Havaya, Yud Kei Vav Kei equals 26. So if I say Kutsha B'ruchu, and I want to be miyached that with Shchinte, Shechinte, the Shechina, another name for Shechina is Malchus, like we said before, and it's represented by the Shem of Hashem of Aleph Daled Nun Yud, which is known as Adnos, that Hashem is our Adain. In this world, He's the Melech, He's our Adain. And Adnos equals 65. If you meyachid, if you join together the Shem Kutsha B'ruchu and Shechinte, that's 26 and 65, you end up with 91. Okay, so that's the Yichud of Kutsha B'ruchu Shechinte. Specific Shevet, whose job, their entire focus, is to be miyachid kutsha b'ruchu shchinte. Now, on some level, it's all of our jobs, but specifically Levium, Shevet Levi. And as the Rambam teaches, that Shevet Levi is not alone. You don't have to. Shevet Levi is not a Shevet you need to be born into necessarily to be able to take on their avodah, but anybody who's willing to really serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu is part of Shevet Levi. Told Moshe, Vayitzav Moshe as Haleviyim. Haleviyim equals 91. So says Rabbeinu Yaakov, let's take a deeper look at this pasuk. Vayitzav Moshe as Haleviyim. Moshe commands the Leviyim. That means he's commanding the Jewish people about this idea of being a Levi, of being miyached kutsha b'ruchu shechinte. The word Levi actually comes from, or similar to the word v'nilvu, like we find here in Bamidbar. V'nilvu meaning to be attached. And here it's a double meaning. It's somebody who wants to do the job of attaching, of combining, of being miyached kutsha b'ruchu shechinte. And it also means if somebody is looking to attach himself to Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Vayitzav Moshe as Haleviyim. Moshe commands the Jewish people about this idea of being a Levi. And it's the idea of being miyached kutsha b'ruchu shchinte, which Rabbeinu Yaakov told us is the Iker we have to put all of our intent, our focus, our goal is in being miyached kutsha b'ruchu shchinte. Vayitzav Moshe as Haleviyim. This is something which Moshe is teaching us about the Leviim. And it continues that they are noisei arein bris Hashem. They are known as the people who carry the bris of Hashem. Rabbeinu Yaakov goes on and explains how this means that they are miyached kutsha b'ruchu shchinte. And that Eretz Hashem we will save for a part 2 of this, as is Hashem next year. But the main idea we want to get through, that the Iker, we have a new focus in a deeper sense of our Avodas Hashem, is to say this Lashon, B'Shem Kol Yisrael. It gives us the permission, we're doing it B'Shem Kol Yisrael, to start being miyached kutsha b'ruchu shchinte, saying the L'Shem Yichud, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm doing this because I want to bring you into this world. I don't want this world to be devoid of you. I want to be Miyacha Kodesh Baruch Hu Ushchante. And with that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give us all the shafa and all the bracha that comes along with that.